What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the City of Vineland. It's your boy, KB, and this is episode number 647, coming at you from Underground Studios. We're going to talk some Phils. We're going to talk some Waterdogs. We're going to talk live events here at Underground Sports Philadelphia because we've got a handful of them coming up. Plus anything else that decides to make its way into the zeitgeist. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about Jalen Hurts and people freaking out about Jalen Hurts and trying to make something out of nothing. We'll talk about that for sure later on in the show. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311 and on Instagram and Threads at KBIZZLE11. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Helps us do more cool and dope stuff with and for you guys here at Underground Sports Philadelphia and across all of our franchises. And allows us to just keep making this dream, come true that we're trying to accomplish. So keep subscribing, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia and Apple and Spotify, but youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below, your thoughts on everything we will be discussing on the show. And of course, let's get to 900 subscribers and then 1,000, and let's keep it pushing. We're at 807 right now, so let's keep it rolling. But before we keep it pushing, I do want to talk to you guys about our awesome merch partners. No, I don't. Not yet. I wasn't ready to get into the segment. What am I doing? It's act like I've been here before, Kyle. This show is presented by the City of Vineland. And the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, that's also linked in the description, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. Guys, the Phils have lost 2 straight series. They lose to the Orioles. And I don't know. It's one of those things that, that's the beauty of baseball. Things happen. You figure it out as you go. They win the game on Friday. They lost that game to the Red Sox that I don't even want to talk about on Thursday, but they win the game on Friday in epic fashion. One of the best games in the Major League Baseball calendar this year, hands down, in extra innings. It was battling through a rain delay. It was unreal cinema. And then they lose Saturday and Sunday 6-2 in a game that they should have won. And then they lose 8-3 on Sunday. That's baseball, guys. Long road trip. I mentioned it on the last episode that this team probably can't wait to get back home, simply because they have been on the road for a long time now. It had been since June 5th since the Phillies have played a game at home. Then they go to London, so the travel days there, travel back home, and by home, I mean traveling to Boston for 3 games, traveling to Baltimore for another 3. That's 2 weeks that the Phillies effectively were not at home, and that takes a toll on you. think about when you go on a vacation, and a vacation is exhausting. Sure, you're enjoying yourself, you're away from your traditional schedule and everything when you go on vacation, but a vacation unlocks a new level of exhaustion in you that when you get back home, it's just like, wow, I want to sink into my bed and relax, be around my family, sleep in my own bed, eat my own food, whatever it may be. And I think it just took a toll on them. It's one of those things that it's just normal human nature. The Red Sox were not going to London. The Orioles were not going to London. The Phillies they need to get home. And, would you have liked to have won those series? Absolutely. Were they both winnable series? For sure. More so the Red Sox series than the Orioles series, I think. But this team is going to be okay. It is one of those things that I think we overreact in a lot of instances where things just weren't going their way in a lot of these games. And I think, you take into account as well the JT Realmuto injury that put him on the injured list, and he's going to be out for a little bit of time. So now you're down another guy, Trey Turner, on his way back. Should be back Monday, which is nice. And you navigate through it. It's truly just the ebbs and flows of a baseball season. I'm not overly worried. I'm not overly concerned with what's going on with the Phillies right now. I understand the human nature aspect of this game, of this sport. Like, it is a long season. It's 162 games in 180 days, give or take. So I mean, they're gonna battle back. They have a nice little 6-game homestand against the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Then they go on the road to play a Tigers team that they should be able to handle. And then you come back home and you play 4 games against the Marlins before you go back out on the road and play a struggling Cubs team. And then you go down to Atlanta for the first time to take on the Braves, 4th of July weekend, and see the Braves for the first time since opening weekend. Like, these two teams are completely different from the last time they played each other. Think about that. So, I'm totally okay with where the Phillies are sitting right now. There's a lot of trade rumors swirling around that could make this team better. Will those trades come to fruition? That remains to be seen. But I do think that this team just hit a bump in the road. They played some good baseball teams. The Red Sox are scrappy. I fucking hate them, but they're scrappy. And the Orioles are a very good team, and that could have been a preview of who we see in the World Series. Phillies-Orioles would not shock me in the slightest if it's this year's World Series. That's how good these two teams are. And, we'll see what happens, because the Orioles were everyone's darling team last year, and they got swept out of the playoffs by the Texas Rangers. So when the bright lights come on, for the most part, the Phillies know how to handle them a little bit better than this Orioles team. They can take their victory lap in the regular season. It's fine. But the next time these two teams see each other, if it does happen to be the Phillies-Orioles World Series down the line, they'll look completely different too. And that's the beauty of baseball. So, you come home, play a Padres team that you swept earlier this season. You know them very well. You know how to handle them. They are a very Jekyll and Hyde team, so you should be able to take advantage of that and go win a series at home. Get back in front of that home crowd at Citizens Bank Park for 6 games against the Padres. And then this weekend is a big weekend. Cole Hamels' retirement game on Friday. Post-game concert on Saturday. Early morning Father's Day game on Sunday against a team that knocked you out of the playoffs and nullified your shot to go to back-to-back World Series for the first time since 2008-2009. You're telling me that the Phillies don't want to fucking stick it to the Diamondbacks? Like, that's just how baseball is, ebbs and flows. Now you get a chance to kind of right the ship a little bit. You built up a beautiful lead in the division. And now you navigate through. It's going to be okay. Not everything needs to be a panic button moment with this baseball team. They're going to be fine. Lots of trade rumors are swirling, and I'm excited. Trade season is upon us. We're going to see a lot of moves across baseball. There's close to 20 teams that are still in the mix. There's going to be a lot of movement at the trade deadline, and I can't wait. To see where players go, who the Phillies decide to pull the trigger on. There's a lot of rumors out there from Luis Robert Jr., Randy Arozarena, Kyle Tucker, Mason Miller. The list goes on and on. I want to put this out there, and I'll probably put a poll on Twitter as well for this. Luis Robert Jr. is a great player. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have him on the team, for sure. This Phillies team could use him, and it would do a lot for this team to have somebody of his caliber on the roster. But let me propose this to you, because I think with the Phillies, they're looking for a bullpen arm. They're looking for an outfielder. You got the Chicago Cubs on the horizon, who are very ebb and flow, very much up and down, struggling quite a bit. If the Phillies don't land Luis Robert, would you call the Cubs and see what a package for Ian Happ and Hector Neris would cost? Now, I know Hector Neris has not had the ideal season for the Chicago Cubs this year. I know his ERA is crazy. I know he has blown quite a few saves. I understand that. I understand he's got a negative .3 WAR on the season. He's got a almost 5 ERA. But does that tell the whole story? To me, that answer is no. I think the Cubs are not deploying him in situations that are ideal for his skill sets. I think he's being relied on way too much to be a lockdown closer, and that's not really where he's thrived over the last couple of years, especially when it was in Houston for 2 years, that last year with the Phillies, 2019 with the Phillies. He had the 28 saves, but that was a situation where he was at his best. And then you look at 2021 with the Phillies, just had 12 saves, but a 3.63 ERA. And then 2 years in Houston, a 3.72 and a 1.71 ERA, 5 total saves in his 2 years with the Houston Astros. This year he's got 10 saves with the Cubs. If the season were to end today, it would be his second worst career ERA season, only behind 2018 with the Phillies when he had a 5.10 ERA. But looking at his fielding independent pitching, he's got a 5.66 FIP this year. That tells me the Cubs behind him are also not helping him in a lot of instances. His whip is almost a 2. I think the Cubs are just using him in situations that are not conducive to what Hector Neris is right now as a 35-year-old pitcher. And if you brought Hector Neris in to realistically just be like a middle reliever type guy, and you have a guy like that throwing mid-90s as a middle reliever, along with your big four of Orion Kerkering, Matt Strahm, Jeff Hoffman, and Jose Alvarado, could be something. It could be something. I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all move, but it could be something. And I think Ian Happ is the type of player that the Phillies would love to have on this team. He's from Pittsburgh, right across The state there is where he grew up. Ian Happ, he's got a 764 OPS. He's got 9 home runs. He's hitting .238 this season, 38 RBI, 7 stolen bases. It feels like Ian Happ would benefit from a change of scenery. Just in terms of production and what he'd be able to accomplish. Like, he's a very talented player. Like, made the All-Star team in 2022. Won a Gold Glove last year and the year before. Was a Rookie of the Year candidate in 2017. He's still only 29 years old. I think you bring Ian Happ to Philly and you see a different type of player almost emerge from the vines of Wrigley Field. I think Ian Happ has kind of just like run his course there. And the Cubs are they're not going to win the World Series this year. I can almost confidently say that. Could they go on a magical run and prove me wrong? Absolutely. But the way that the Cubs are constructed right now just does not scream like, hey, we need to be all in on this team. The Brewers are by far and away ahead of them in their division. And the rest of that division is such a crapshoot that when you look at what the wild cards could be, you know, the Phillies are leading the NL East. The Braves are 7 games back of the Phillies. The Brewers are leading their division. The Dodgers are leading their division. And then everything else is kind of crapshoot. But, like, the Cubs are a half a game out of being in the basement of their division. Like, they're underachieving big time. And, I mean, could you potentially get somebody like Cody Bellinger? Sure, but do you want to add another left-handed bat into this lineup that is very left-handed dominant? I don't know. But it is something to think about, because I think if you were to land Luis Robert Jr., if you were to land a Kyle Tucker, land a Randy Arozarena, you could still also swing a trade for Hector Neris and Ian Happ, and it be just like a secondary move to your big-time move. Like, if the Phillies can exit the trade deadline with Luis Robert Jr., Mason Miller, Hector Neris, and Ian Happ, I think a lot of people are over the moon stoked. Like, that is like you're pushing your chips to the middle of the table and saying, okay, we're going for it. We're upgrading our bullpen in multiple ways here. We're getting a guy who's a better version of Whit Merrifield. We're getting somebody to enhance our outfield and make it that much better. There's a lot of moves that this Phillies team can make, and there's a lot of mock trades and players that are running through my brain that they could acquire. Because you can't just put all your eggs in one basket and think that things will fix themselves with some of the small issues that this team has. This is not how baseball works. I've seen Tanner Scott's name get thrown out a bunch. Do you do a Tanner Scott and Jazz Chisholm combo deal along with a Luis Robert or a Randy Arozarena? That's something to think about. But this Phillies team has a lot of optionality to it, and that's fun. That's exciting, and I think a lot of people are going to be stoked when it all is said and done and, you know, end of July rolls around and this team looks a little bit different than it does right now, and that's okay. Get the home cooking going. Start a new streak. Let's go win some ball games, boys. They'll figure it out. Do want to talk to you guys now about our awesome merch partners, a PHI Apparel Company, the best merch partners in the game, from shirts and hoodies. They've got you covered if you want to rep the Phils, the Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers, the Union, or Underground Sports Philadelphia. And if you want to stand out in the crowd, have the best merch in the game, go to phiapparel.co. Going across the ticker there, you'll also see a sponsor bar if you're watching on YouTube. When you go to checkout, use code Underground for 10% off your order. It is the most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Tag us when you get your merch. We'll repost it everywhere. Go to phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your merch order. I am fresh off PLL Philly and the Waterdogs homecoming weekend. It was a bummer that they lost both games in overtime. But man, the crowd at Villanova University for this Waterdogs team was genuinely a home crowd. We did a live Outside the Box podcast, myself, DJ, and Chase. It was immaculate vibes in the Premier Zone, in the stadium, every which way you turned. It felt like a home game every time the Waterdogs were playing. And I don't say that lightly. As somebody who has grown up a Philly sports fan, who has been to damn near every Philly sporting event you can be to except a Union game. Union, invite me out to a game. I need to experience the Philadelphia Union. The Waterdogs fit right in Philadelphia. The boos of the refs, the Waterdogs chants, it was really special. And as somebody who has covered the PLL since year one, who has been boots on the ground as much as possible covering this league, to see Philadelphia adopt a team as quickly and as seamlessly and as beautifully as the Waterdogs is really, really cool. Is there a benefactor that somebody like Michael Sowers and somebody like Jake Richard, two Philadelphia guys, are on the team? Absolutely. But that's the beauty of sports. We always love when we have a hometown guy come home and play for the team, and that's what Jake Richard is doing. Michael Sowers, homegrown kid. That's the beauty of this sport. Would it have been cool to see the Waterdogs get the dubs that we wanted them to get? Absolutely. But it is cool to have a new team in Philly to get behind and root for, and right now they're in that underdog role. They're 0-3, -3 score differential. Score differential matters a ton in the PLL, and I just hope everyone can believe in this team and really get behind them and adopt them in a way that is really special. Now that I'm thinking about it, it would be really cool if we could partner up with like the SPCA or something as a nonprofit sponsor or something, since we have the dogs. Hit our line. That'd be fun. That'd be really cool if we could do something there. Adopt, don't shop. But Philly was made for the Waterdogs. The Waterdogs were made for Philly, and it genuinely felt like a home game setting. Was talking to the supporter group for the Waterdogs, the K9 crew. Follow them on the socials. And they're Philly guys, and they were like, on a condensed level, it felt like Bryce Harper just hit a game-tying home run when Ryan Conrad hit a game-tying goal to send the game to overtime against the Boston Cannons. And it did. The energy was amazing, and we have felt that two other instances with the Waterdogs in particular, and three times overall before this weekend in the PLL. And the Waterdogs have a fan base that is diehard. They are gritty. They know the sport. And it is really cool to have them in our backyard. I've been talking with their beat writer, Wyatt Miller. We're going to work to get him on this show to kind of introduce everybody to Wyatt, introduce the Waterdogs to Philly, and kind of figure out this team. And I'll be able to kind of put my fandom hat on a little bit and take the national media hat off for a hot second. Not that I don't love wearing the national media hat when I cover the PLL. It is truly an honor. But it is fun to kind of sit back and be a fan as well for this show, because it is our Philly sports show, and they are Philadelphia's team. They are Philadelphia's team in the PLL, and I want them to succeed for the sake of Philadelphia and the sake of this show being at its peak and seeing Philadelphia teams thrive. Our live show is awesome. We will definitely be diving more into that on this week's episode of OTB, so subscribe to that show if you want to learn more about the PLL. It'll be up on YouTube and audio. We will have the live show audio-wise, both on the OTB feed and this feed, Apple, Spotify. We're going to do a little cross-platform promotion there since it was in Philly. It'll be on there sometime next week for sure. And I'm just pumped about the future of the Waterdogs in Philadelphia. I think this was an awesome welcome to the league moment for Philadelphia in the regular season, where Philadelphia is typically reserved for the championship game in the PLL outside of 1 year when it was the semifinal, and obviously the bubble was all in one location. But it was really cool to show that Philly can show out for a PLL regular season. The attendance was awesome. The stands were packed. The haters are sick. And Philly did that thing. Signed, sealed, delivered. But shout out to the Waterdogs. We are working with the PLL to get some of the Waterdogs guys on this show in particular to kind of, like I said, introduce you guys to the Waterdogs and get you familiar with Philly's newest team and newest athletes, because I think that is important and it's special, and it's a really cool way to introduce you guys to a new team to root for. Last bit here that I want to get into, and it is brought to you by our awesome pals over at FOCO. FOCO, the leading distributor in forever collectibles that are officially licensed from Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, the NHL, the NFL, and everything under the sun. You guys saw me wearing the overalls all postseason long last year with the Fightin' Phils. I got to get a whole bunch of stuff from FOCO. I got to hit up FOCO and be like, hey, I need shortalls for the summer. I need to be able to rep my teams in style, and the only way to do that is with FOCO. Click the link in the description. When you guys click that link and purchase something from FOCO, it helps us astronomically. It helps FOCO realize that you guys are listening to the pod and supporting the pod. So click that link in the description. Check out all their forever collectibles. Step your game up. Check out those awesome bobbleheads. They tagged us in a bobblehead from London too. Hit my line. We want to rep FOCO the best we can. We should be having our Jason Kelsey bobblehead coming very soon that we pre-ordered way back. So definitely want to get that out there for sure. But click the link in the description. Check out everything that FOCO has to offer, and shout out to FOCO for sponsoring the podcast. The Philadelphia Eagles, guys, I genuinely just don't understand why the local radio station just continues to pin our athletes against the city. They are tearing down Jalen Hurts in the offseason yet again for no calculated reason whatsoever. From Howard Eskin to every show on that station, they are just finding nitpick ways because it is June. It's June and we're doing this. To just tear this team down and try to run quarterbacks out of the city when just a year removed, Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate and in a Super Bowl, and last year was an MVP candidate through Week 12. Why are we trying to run this guy out of town? Someone, anybody? Can anybody explain that to me? Why is it that we need to have the flagship station for the Philadelphia Eagles trying to deteriorate the relationship between fan and player, especially after A.J. Brown came on their airwaves and eviscerated them for doing the very same thing to him? Like, if I am a member of this Eagles team, coach, player, in between, I don't care that WIP is the flagship station. I am refusing to go on their airwaves. There's no reason that they should be afforded the platform to have Eagles players, coaches, personnel, whatever it may be, on their airwaves, if they're going to treat the team like this, it is clearly conjured up narrative bullshit. And they know it. I've talked to people who have said the same thing. It's all fabricated and fake. And they're just utilizing callers to create their content because they're lazy. If I'm a player, coach, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, see ya. I'm not going on WIP. I'm not doing it. There's no way I would afford them my time, my breath to what? Let them utilize my words on their airwaves to spin it into some false narrative so that they have content for a week? No thanks. I am refusing any interview on that radio station. There's just no shot. There's no shot I'm going on there if I'm a player, if I'm a coach. No thanks. No thanks. I would refuse instantly because it's just not worth the mental health of these players. It's not worth the rope-a-dope and the spin zone that they'll try to say, oh, we're not trying to do that. No, you are. You've been caught in it time and time again. And it's not just one show doing it. It's every show. It's almost every host. There's legitimately 2 people at that station that I even have respect for at this point. And if you know me, you know who it is. Everyone else is an absolute joke. And if you're still listening to that radio station, best of luck to you. But go and support independent content creators and independent podcasts and shows like Underground Sports Philadelphia. Like the number of shows that are out there covering the teams in a better light, not tearing them down, not trying to cause unnecessary drama between the team, players, and media. There's no need for it. And I'm sick of it. It's crazy that we are still doing this. And I can't go through another football season of conjured up bullshit from that radio station trying to tear this team down. Who then will, in turn, if this team wins the Super Bowl this year, try to celebrate and lift them up and be like, oh, look what we did. No, fuck that. That team does not need to deal with them whatsoever. And if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I would put my foot down and say, fuck that. You're not going on that radio station. There's no need for it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth our time. And it sends a message to say, hey, maybe fix your fucking content. I don't know. Any Eagle that wants to come on this show and not get berated and torn down and thrown to the wolves to then have a radio station spin it and try to say it's the fans doing, you're more than welcome to come on this show because we don't do that type of shit here. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at UndergroundPHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Helps us, stave off the competition and put stations like the local radio station in shambles because you deserve the best content to cover your favorite team, and why would you want to listen to OG Wade or Butch and Manniunk create content for them so that they can be lazy and then in turn tear down every single player who walks through the door of Philadelphia? I don't know. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Get your merch from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Smash the like button on YouTube, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below, And of course, guys, this show is presented by the city of Vineland, and whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process. Their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you are considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. This has been episode number 647 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the city of Vineland. I'm your boy KB. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Should have an interview with the Wyatt Miller, beat writer for the Philadelphia Waterdogs, and talking Phils and probably talking about this bullshit that the radio station's trying to conjure up even more about the Philadelphia Eagles during the offseason, the dead period. But until then, I'm your boy KB. I'm getting the heck up out of here, and I am signing off. Peace.